Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Let's turn this down. Hey guys. Why was it so loud, guys? Hey guys, welcome to Faz Radio. We are continuing our continuing story of talking about DAOs and how DAOs work, and specifically talking about a new DAO called Players DAO, which is starting up, which a number of people are starting to get involved with. We have here today, we have Family Man, we have Titan, and we have Nate Harper, Forged in Crypto. And we're going to talk some DAO stuff. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey.
Howdy.
I think we got a big announcement first, right? Aren't you on Apple Podcasts now?
Well, yes. We finally set that up last night.
Nice.
It is not live on Apple Podcasts. In fact, the podcast thingy that I use actually rewards me for being live, so I'm going to figure that out. But at the moment, we're still doing live on YouTube, but that may change.
Yeah, I just got, at about 11 o'clock this morning, I got the approval message from Apple. We have been verified as not being asshats, and we can broadcast whenever we want.
And
they did horrible research. Great.
They pretty
did.
Much did, yeah.
They asked me if this was explicit language, and yes, fuck yeah, we're very explicit here. Hopefully they won't kick us off. Hopefully they won't kick us off because we talk about crypto.
I'm more worried about that than the F-bombs.
It'll just be one day. We'll be like, what the fuck? We're deplatformed.
Right?
All right.
You should be good.
So we had a few things to talk about today. As I've said before, I'm a member of this DAO, this Players DAO that we're going to talk about. And we put out a light paper just recently on the Players DAO Discord. And the light paper seems to cover just about everything, but has a few areas I think that are a little bit light in the light paper that I was hoping that we could talk about today. Specifically, how gamer assets would be managed by the DAO, or if they should be managed by the DAO. Maybe they should be managed by players.
Lots of different things to talk about.
And to that, and at that, my goal was to set Titan running, and then he was just going to disgorge his theory craft machine. And we got Family Man here because Family Man, I know he has some good stuff to say about this stuff. So I'm probably not.
I sure hope so.
So Titan, have you had a chance to read my notes here, just to ask you a few questions?
Yeah, I did. I mean, 30 whole minutes of thinking time on something important like DAO assets is fantastic.
You better come up with a solution, man.
And you wonder why I always sound so stupid. You guys drop this stuff. I think there's a lot of good ideas here.
You want me to run with something, and then you can kind of jump off of that?
Yeah, well, the context, I think, matters a little bit, and I don't know exactly what you guys mean by that.
Let's go. I'll start with the context. So obviously in the DAO itself, there's going to be the management of these internal game assets, the NFTs, which are played in games. Who's going to manage those assets? Is it going to be the DAO? Is it going to be the player? How's that going to work? How's the connection going to be made there? And we've been talking with some lawyers on obviously security laws and how we need to go about doing that. And nobody's ever going to give you a straight answer. They're going to kind of give you their idea of what they think it is, that we're doing in terms of security laws to make sure that we're doing all the right things and protecting people. And so as we were talking with the last guy, he was basically saying that if the DAO itself if it doesn't own the asset and it is managing it for somebody else, as in somebody has an asset that they let's take spider tanks because it's coming soon. So they have a lava tank and they want the DAO to rent it out for them and manage it and for whoever gets to use it. And so they will share in the rewards. Then the DAO becomes an asset manager under what he was talking about, which would basically make it fall under security laws. So how do we go about handling that? So we had a few ideas and a few things that were going on, and that was the context of the start of the conversation today. So
What he said.
Well,
did I help you out?
I think, yeah, that does. So initially, my first thought when I hear stuff like that, my background is securities and compliance and all that kind of fun stuff. And that does present like a really, really big problem. And I've argued with Faz on numerous occasions about the money transmitter side of it, registering as a money transmitter if you're handling assets, and how that all plays out in crypto. I think as you start out centralized and work your way towards decentralization, I think at some point it ends up with the players anyway. It's just a matter of, do you have perhaps a special DAO wallet that you have to use and register with the DAO that you're going to be using those assets in, so that the DAO knows what that is, making sure they're KYC'd, not only for the rewards, but in case, somebody decides to walk off with a bunch of assets. But on the other side of it as well, something that was kind of thrown at us today, what if the person who's borrowing those assets gets hacked, right? So that's a really, really interesting point, because Faz had something similar happen to a friend of his recently with that too. So it's going to create a whole bunch of speed bumps in the road ahead.
Right. So one of the ideas that kind of helps mitigate some of that. So I have to kind of go back in time here. So I am a part owner in a company called Blackharp, which is, it basically just owns a bunch of different assets, right? Digital assets specifically. So that's an LLC with a partner of mine. And we were going down the route of, in the beginning of the year, starting an LP, starting a fund. We were very creative with the name, and so we called it Blackharp LLP. So anyways, they're two separate companies, but you have the LP itself, which is the fund, which is going to be an asset management company. We were going to raise funds, bring it.
What's an LP again?
Limited partnership.
Okay.
So most of your funds that are out there are LPs, and I'm going to get into the weeds there that I don't know and I don't want to know, because that's why I hired a bunch of lawyers and people to do this stuff for me. That gets out of control for me. But needless to say, so the idea that I had that came forth was, what if you had a third party that was, it was made for that. It is a digital asset management company. It holds, it custodies, it points those NFTs in the right direction. It takes over the liability of all of the, potential things that can happen. And the DAO and the members of the DAO, they are managing the people, right? The people that are playing, the players of the player DAO. Who's where, who's what, who gets what's NFT, how's that playing, and that kind of stuff. And so you're kind of segregating out that liability side. One, you're creating an entity that's going to do everything right in the eyes of the SEC and, abide by all the laws. And then you have, and also have the security and liability side taken care of. And then that kind of lets the DAO kind of do what it needs to do best anyway, which is the free reign of the people, the players. So that was an idea we threw around today, outside of other, technological ideas that might be able to position ourselves in a way that we are, protecting ourselves legally as well. That was one of the things we were tossing around.
That will get extraordinarily complicated. I would suggest that someone besides the DAO have a board membership role if you decide to take it out of that. That would help with the decentralization, right? Because you have, well, I hate using the term the ETH Foundation, but you also have Bitcoin Core, which is an independent group of people that manages the code base and things like that, I would think you would probably want something outside the DAO that is going to run that aspect of it. And there would have to be kind of like appointments or voting in, or how, it would have to just be completely separate so it was independent.
Right.
And if they're going to manage that and buy things and distribute money, they're absolutely going to need a money transmitter's license. It's not impossible, but it'll be expensive and complicated. Yes.
Oh, I already know it's expensive because we've already built it. We're already there. Like we literally have the LPs already done. Like we've had it done. It's outside of like the last signature. We've just been kind of holding off and debating on if that's something that we wanted to take on. It's ready to go. It's its own entity. It's ready to rock and roll. And so it's just been sitting there since probably May.
Okay. So if that runs, see, you don't want it to be overly complicated, as we learned from the Spider Tank economy mess. People, they want simple, right? They want EVO style, jumping in and getting running and being able to rent. I think that's going to be very heavy on the smart contract side. I think that you have to register whatever wallet it is you're going to use with the DAO for any assets that you borrow or put in there, and that smart contract pulls it from the DAO and drops it in there. I think there does have to be some kind of I hate using the term staking, but there has to be some kind of mechanism to where the DAO would be guaranteed their rental fees and have the assets in case you end up with a malicious person, which you will eventually, and they suck that into their wallet. They go to OpenSea and sell it.
Yeah.
So, you can write into the contract that it's not burnable and not listable. It's up to OpenSea, though, if they'll honor that contract. So something, you would probably have to reach out to like LooksRare and OpenSea and find out, say, hey, what do I have to have in my contract so that people can't list on here? I think that would be something that's really important. And how do you then prevent somebody from transferring it from the registered wallet to another wallet? Do you do that with multi-sig? Yeah, it is. I mean, you got to have multi-sig capabilities. That's kind of why I had told Faz, I said, boy, you guys are in for a big task here, because as much as you want to get the DAO out and running, there are silly things like this that, I mean, you have to really dig down deep and make sure everything is done, right? So if I take my elf, right, and I lend it to the DAO to earn some money with, because I'm not using it at the moment, the DAO has custody, rents it to Flurfenberger, who goes out and then gets hacked. How am I going to get remunerated for that?
I think you're assuming that the rental contracts are going to be an actual transfer of the NFT from wallet to wallet rather than the utility.
Right. I think it's more of you're pointing this NFT to a person, saying that this person gets to use my NFT. The NFT actually doesn't get transferred. Also, have you looked into Fireblocks at all? Titan?
I have not.
You should check them out. Like, they're the creme de la creme when it comes to custodial in the legacy world for crypto stuff, including NFTs, multi-sig. They have fail safes, dead man keys. It's they are the top of the line. They're doing a fantastic job. We've done a couple of calls with them back when we were starting the LP itself. they're fantastic. They take over a huge burden of what we're talking. Most of the stuff you're talking about there, using a third party for that custodial is humongous. Like they're fantastic.
Just hand me the
Yeah,
dog.
I'm not so good on that back end with all that
Dog.
kind of
No.
stuff.
dog.
I generally focus on the compliance issues and the front end, the sales, the marketing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can read basics in a contract, but if we're gonna dig into the weeds, I'm freaking lost, man. I can't get
That's why we have.
horribly.
That's why they have the devs, man. They do all that good work. They're the smart ones.
Right. So then I would assume then, because of having that utility pulled, you would have to have some type of back end relationship with whatever gaming entity you were collecting assets from.
That may very well be the case. I know that there's been a bunch of people that have been begging for API keys from Gala for a long time for different reasons. But I believe that the Spider Tank's rental network is going to just do that by itself. Now, right off the bat, renting a Spider Tank, you're going to be in a randomized queue as the renter and as the loaner. That you're not going to have any control over where those tanks go, but they intend to refine that process to where specific people can take their own tanks and make sure a specific person gets them. And that would be necessary if we're talking about like an esports community, because they don't want to be giving away massively expensive tank NFTs to their players. They just want to make sure that they can use them in the game.
Right.
And they also need to be, in the case of the skins, the legendary and ancient skins have the ability to be applied to more than one tank, but the skin has to be in a single wallet along with the tanks. So the utility has to be able to be farmed out without the NFTs actually transferring from wallet to wallet. So I believe that they're already building that into the game. For the DAO's part, we would just kind of piggyback that, or could. There may be other games that it becomes necessary for us to be able to like actually code in some sort of utility transfer. At which point we would very much need to work hand in hand with the developers of the game, because they need to give us access.
Well,
so I have a comment about that. So that is kind of the unfortunately, what my 2 cents on that, that's a bit of a weak idea, because it's weak on the DAO side, because it's like, you know, the state or the city trying to negotiate land rights for if they want to build a highway. They have to go to each land that they want to build the highway through and negotiate rights. And what the DAO would be doing is it would be having to every game that they want to support, it would be holding up the game, them renting out NFTs to the game, because I don't know, Gala Games just didn't find the DAO to be a priority, or EVIO didn't find the DAO to be a priority. So that's a challenge.
Well, that is a challenge, but that player base, that's where that's going to come in most important, and that's what everybody's looking for. If you have a big enough player base, they're going to want to come to the DAO. But backing up one other second, what about the problem with the 1155 tokens, right? Because Faz, I know you had told me before, there's issues because the contract is the same for quite a few of those. Would that have anything to do with the fungibility of what token is what and who has what of how many?
Well, let's back up a little bit here. That this might be outside the scope of what we're talking about, but ERC 1155s are basically not separate tokens. They're a fungible, almost like a fungible currency. If you are given 1 or 5 of these tokens, they just pass the number to you, and then they're kind of really hard to keep track of. You need to read the entire ledger to see if you keep track of them. Preferably, another token should be used.
So that does run into problems with companies like Gala, who
Well,
who
I
may
I
decide
think
to
Gala's
use that.
gonna. I think Gala wants to use its own chain, Geary. So I think it's going to come up with an easier method to track its tokens that are free. The only reason they went to ERC 1155s is so that they could save money sending NFTs to people. Now they can send you as many as they want of a specific type to as many people as they need to. Where before they have to send 1Z, 2Z, they have to pay gas for each one. So yeah, 1155s are great for batch transactions, but it really doesn't solve Gala's needs. I call that a temporary thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, if we're done with this subject, we actually have a bunch of other things to talk about.
Yeah, I think knowing now a little bit more probably is best to revisit this after all of us have had some more time to think. That helps. Thank you guys for the context. That'll really help me come up with some ideas.
What else you got there, Faz?
All right. Titan had actually mentioned this at one point. Let's see here. Where's that at? Nope, that's further down my list here. Oh, so I had actually had a neat idea for Players DAO today, in that it could have a gamer service angle. We know that the whole point of a gaming DAO is to use NFTs efficiently and to hook up players with NFTs, as many, allow people to rent things that they wouldn't normally be able to purchase. But I was thinking about this. You're gonna have limited NFTs, and you might have a lot of people, and so it might be that a person might not be able to rent an NFT that they'd like to. And I was thinking, well, a DAO could actually kind of help people out in suggesting times and places that they can rent this NFT, or even perhaps give them a skill tree to fill out. You finish this skill tree, then you can actually be allowed to rent this NFT.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that idea, Family Man? Because I know Nate's opinion on it.
I think that's exactly the way to go. That we want to have a sort of gamified system for the players within the DAO structure, that they have an opportunity to level up. That you don't want someone who just happened to step into the website and see something they liked to be able to grab the best stuff and run with it. We need to vet them. We need to see that they're consistent players, that they play regularly, they play well, whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be, it can be one or the other or both there. People that are going to play consistently, especially with some of the games that are less directly competitive, something like an MMO, I'm thinking Echoes of Empire or Mirandus. Those games are going to benefit from the type of person that just likes to play a lot, and they go and they gather a lot of resources, or they go and hunt a lot of monsters, or whatever it may be, and that person may not have any particular skill when it comes to certain battles or fights within that game, but they're just constantly there, constantly contributing. Then you have a game that's more competitive, like say the Town Star tournaments or the Spider Tanks, and it's going to be of great benefit to make sure you're getting the good tanks in the hands of the people that have some real skill, because, well, the earning in that game is all based on your performance. If your team wins, then you get silk, in the case of Spider Tanks. So it makes a lot of sense to have a leveling structure or some kind of gamified structure for the players that are coming to the DAO, and they'll be able to look around and see other people that have been doing it, and the other people that have been succeeding, and seeing what kind of access they have, and that'll incentivize them a little bit more. I don't want to dive too far. I have some really cool thoughts on this, because we were talking earlier about from the owner side, and now we're talking.
Dive away, man. Dive away. My whole point was to get you and Titan going. But I liked the idea that I had was, so a Players DAO is going to have a token of some sort. and the token that's yet another use of that token. I know I believe the intention of the token is to be able to purchase nodes. Is that correct, Nate?
Potentially.
Okay, so well, you need to be able to get these tokens some way, and the nodes can give you the tokens, or you can earn them while playing. So I see a lot of opportunities for a gamer's DAO to help users get DAO tokens. You're gonna play a game for it. You're gonna earn it, and each game is gonna be different. Each game is gonna have different things ways that you'd earn it. And the DAO would then be able to kind of funnel people towards specific NFTs. Say if you had a bunch of basic level tank NFTs and you want to get them rented out, you could say, well, we're going to raise the amount of tokens for people that these basics can do, because we want to help kind of use these NFTs and maybe even help players level up in the real game. Maybe give them playing strategy hints and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
It kind of gets into the guild. It kind of overlaps into what guilds would do. But I was thinking some basic stuff might not be that bad.
No, I think that's great too. I mean, the access for these people that can earn tokens, whether it's through gameplay or other type of work that's potentially done within the DAO to earn those tokens, is a fantastic way for them to then transition that into an NFT or a rental side. We talk about the player system itself, like to be able to rank yourself up, to be able to get the ability to rent something that you really want to do. So different ideas there, just interesting.
So anyway, go ahead, Family Man. I'd like to hear what you'd have to say about that.
Well, to kind of start over there, we had the owner's side where there's a lot of people that have stuff that they might see it as an overwhelming task to try to manage it. And so we'll have compliance hurdles to jump through as far as making sure that we're doing it the right way. But we want to be able to reach out to those people and offer them a service that would make it so that they don't have to bear the whole burden of earning, that we can at least get somewhat involved, if nothing else, just to patch them through to a wider spread player base that might be a more concentrated player base. But I think we want to go further than that, and a lot of that'll depend on what we learn about compliance and legal ramifications. But from the player side, you'd say, okay, well, why do they even bother coming to the DAO? What's in it for them if they can just go to the individual games and say, hey, I want to rent this thing, and then be able to do it? So the DAO, in the outset, one of the things that we're wanting to concentrate on is actually acquiring assets for the DAO. So it's going to have its own stuff. It's going to be building an asset base, and hopefully of great stuff. We don't want to buy every NFT out there, but if we have a good enough base of our own NFTs, well, then those are going to attract players, because they're going to want to use some of those things. Some of these NFTs, there's only X number of them. The legendary shotguns. I happen to have a couple of those, and I love using that thing, and I think everybody would love using that thing. But there's only X number of them, and so if you want it, you're going to have to go where it is in order to get it. And if the DAO has a concentration of those, then people will start coming to us. But beyond just the accessibility of them through the DAO, if we're bringing owners in that also have great items, and even if we're just the middleman, they're patching these people together, that still creates the environment that people are going to want to be in order to be able to gain access. The gamification side of it just makes it that much more fun. Even though it does seem like just another set of hoops to jump through, a lot of what you can do to build your level per se within the DAO is going to just be related to the games that you're playing anyways. Maybe it's like play 5 Spider Tanks games today, and you qualify for whatever experience upgrade it is or whatever. There's all sorts of really neat ways that we can go about that. And so we can engage the players in a way that they want to be engaged anyways. They're looking for games, so we can create kind of a new strata of game on top of the games they want to play anyways. So it really does appeal to anybody in the space. It just depends on how they're coming to it. You know, we want to be a group that just offers everybody something. And then it seems like we have some great ideas that are leading us that direction. There's definitely a lot of needs. There's a lot of concerns out there, and it might be that we've kind of hit on a really good core of ideas that can just help us reach everybody in this space.
Yeah, there's many different skill trees that you can do, and I like that. That's my idea as well.
So with that skill tree set, you've got to remember that there's two perspectives here, okay? You have the perspective of the gaming company and you have the side of the player, right? So this with that skill tree, perhaps either the DAO, or you could probably even pass it off on the gaming company as part of the partnership to be developing training videos for their games, right? To where, you know, you teach players how to play the game, right? Because like with me, right, I'm a terrible shooter. I'm fucking horrible. Oh my God. And so if I really want to play spider tanks with my friends, I want to learn how to do it. Is that a mentorship in the DAO with somebody who knows what they're doing? Is that watching a video and you get your little POAPs is what Gala uses, right? You get your POAP. And that is your certification on the DAO that you know how to play spider tanks. And now you can rent this tranche of spider tank gear. So it's limitless what you can do, really. Like from the gaming side, right? Potentially you have the gaming company, you make them buy into the DAO, buy the DAO tokens to be a part of the ecosystem to expose it to the players, right? And you use those proceeds as extra things, and you get exclusive private play tests with, whoever, Game Dia, right? The DAO
With
members,
the leaderboard people that top the leaderboard.
I haven't even gotten there yet. I haven't gotten that far. I could talk forever, just like Family Man, on this stuff, right? So you also have the player side, right? So players want to come and play games and they want to do esports, but they want something more. Remember, when you're motivating people, you have to make them feel, and Gala is wizards at this, right? This is why they got so popular. You have to make people feel like they're part of something bigger than they can do on their own. So in order to bring that in, perhaps, there's other incentives other than money and just playing games. You have to bring more to that ecosystem with those deeper dives. Maybe it's something this simple, right? Everybody, like, here's an idea, right? So everybody is all amped up about that stupid sweatshirt for the Vox, right? So perhaps the DAO goes out with some of those staked coins from the gaming companies that they bought into, and they develop a partnership with the Epic Store. And perhaps then they get a 10% discount on gear, on gaming gear, like joysticks and this and that and the other. You could do the same at the store for the gaming company. Hey, you're a DAO member, you have your POAP, you show up with the NFT in your wallet, you get 10% off any assets you buy from that. So you can take and you can create these levels or these tranches for people and develop their skill sets that way, which provides a huge incentive over a gaming company just sitting there going, all right, people, come play.
Come play. That's what you need. But it's like kind of chicken. It's like a chicken and the egg situation, though, too, right? Like, you got to have, something first. You have the players first. Do you have the assets first? And how does that all fit together in that magic little head that goes on, right?
You need some fools to do it first.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to jump in as the biggest fool here.
Here.
I'll throw all my stuff in. Let's do it.
Well, getting the players. I think it has to be the players first. I think you do want as horrible as it is, you want that gala aura of, you have like 10,000 people just dying to play the next game. They'll tell you what they want to play. They'll suggest, hey, we really want to go play Slip Filio over on this wild Herbert Hector's games, man. And so that's where you take that leadership role, and you have, maybe, because I know you guys had that board, right? Well, is there a business development board head who has a committee that goes out and spends their time looking for those opportunities, developing those partnerships, digging deeper to provide more for the players and more for the DAO, to where every time you turn around, there's something new popping. And it's providing all of that extra flavor of being a DAO member, man. You're not, while we understand the gaming part, people want more. They always want more.
I think the root of what Gala succeeded with was building a community. It started with just bringing in people that saw the idea clearly. Like when it was early, everyone knew what was going on. Everyone wanted to know what was going on. It wasn't until late 2020 that it started. The Gala started attracting people that were more just about like, oh, how much money can I make here? Like there's always the sense of, yeah, in the long run, this can be amazing as far as a financial entity. But as far as the early on, it was just like, wow, this is just such an amazing idea, and the way they're going about it, that's going to work. It can be the same thing with the DAO. We started talking to people about it, and the people we're talking to are people that get it. These are people that have kind of been waiting for something like this to come along. And so this is going to be the foundational groundwork for this community that can then, like, well, you said tutorials and things like that, they have to be written by somebody, somebody, and preferably someone that actually knows the game. Well, if you're gathering that kind of people already, then in many cases, they are going to be the draw to the DAO. Why would someone want to come and hang out with us rather than anyone else out there? I think about this. We have a small Mirandus guild that we don't. We're not in the guild channels because we kind of want to be really restrictive about growth, but not based on like we're not gating it. We just don't want it to get out of hand. But why would anyone join our guild versus one of the other guilds? What's the appeal there? And it seems to always come back to community. Like, do you like the people you're hanging out with? And I'd imagine that you're not going to be able to just plug in and play without rubbing shoulders with people. Even at the DAO level, we're going to be communicating with one another, and that's something that people really value. Like we play games because we enjoy them, but the best games are the ones where we meet other people and we feel like people in them. It's a validation kind of thing. Well, we can do that if we care to. And I know I for one do, and I can only imagine that the rest of the people involved at this level, we all do. We care about other people. And we want them to be able to see what we're building and be a part of it so that they can enjoy it too.
Yeah, I mean, community is the biggest aspect here. I mean, that's really what's brought me to this point to, want to start this whole thing, is the community aspect. Made some pretty amazing friends, met some pretty cool people over the last couple of years, and just seen a lot of ways that we can help together to do some cool stuff, man. Like, really, we got a lot of cool things we can do.
So about that, the things that Titan was mentioning in particular, that leads into my next question or topic, which is and I don't know if you see this, but I've been switching the topics on the screen here. the DAO not only can be a force for doing skill trees for people and helping out the gamer community, but or helping the gamers advance, but they could also they could also work for charities and stuff like that. Because the reason I thought of this was there was a guy this morning who had lost his who got his wallet broken into and lost a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it, wouldn't it be good if you were in a gamer DAO that you'd somehow get some sort of recompense for something like that?
Yeah.
I hesitate to say insurance policy, but charity.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to go down that path personally.
Well, actually, there's another game, Star Citizen, out there, which came up with a really neat idea of a game mechanic called insurance, where if you had a ship that exploded in game, if you paid insurance while you were playing it, then you get your ship back. Well, what if the DAO did have an insurance policy to where it would, if you paid so much percentage of what you earned, it would just go and purchase NFTs if you could, or you could use that as that benefit to purchase some NFTs. And of course, you just earn a certain amount of money, and eventually you'd be able to buy something. So of course you'd want it to rack up. What do you think of that idea?
It's interesting. I mean, I've heard of that in other aspects as well. Like it's just kind of a fund that gets built up internally in like some sort of community to help out in certain ways. I mean, it could work out well. I mean, the situation today, I mean, that sucks, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel really bad for him or her. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but the situation is really crappy. But it was just a lack of. He posted what happened, and it was just a lack of judgment on his side, right? It wasn't a. Granted, it's nefarious on the links that are out there that are getting posted there, but the lack of judgment that we all can have at any point in time that went through it's a really shitty situation. So is that something that gets it's a weird dynamic? Is that something that would want to put forth a fund to kind of help buy that back? Potentially, I don't know. It's interesting to look at.
Well, it's a having an insurance fund would probably mean more regulation on that loan, because now you're
yeah.
I think that was my hesitation. Yeah, the legislation about that could be a headache.
But I just liked the concept that if you're in a DAO and you've been playing with the DAO for a couple of years and then shit goes sideways, you'd be able to get something out of it. That's all. I'm thinking you're going to join a DAO because you want community and you want the benefits that come with being with a lot of people. Okay, there are many benefits from being with a large group of people. One of them is insurance.
100.
Maybe not to call it insurance, just it's just doing kindness for people. You see someone hurting, and you want to help. I mean, that's sensible. Now, the degree to which you can help, I mean,
you can even give them discounts. You could do the kindness just by giving them discounts on future purchases, or not purchases, but rentals.
Something that it directly translates to a benefit to them, and it's not that great of a lift on the part of the DAO. We're not sacrificing anything more than perhaps some momentary earnings. That I don't see any issues with that. But that wouldn't necessarily have to involve a separate fund or it jumping through any compliance hoops or anything like that. That would just be something nice to do for people, and we could have an unspoken policy about that we just look out for our own kind of thing. But to put something like that in stone, I've always been a fan of giving, but I have a hard time working with a corporate structure or a nonprofit structure for my giving. I'd like the giving, and it can even be done anonymously. It's just I want to make sure that it's going where it should go. that it's not being frittered away in administrative expenses or something like that. And so I'm all about generosity. I step very carefully when it comes to organizing that.
Well, then you have somebody has to manage that, and any large entity tends to have bureaucracy, and that's a real problem with any any sort of organization.
But with a DAO, let's say we get a really good population of gamers, the information is going to be there. The news will be there that someone had something happen, and that creates opportunity for anyone at that point to be generous. I've seen some very incredibly generous acts from people that didn't have a lot of stuff. They just cared about the people that they heard were hurting, and so it wouldn't have to be something that was relegated just to the insurance department or to the benevolence department. It could just be something that we say, hey, these guys are hurting. If anyone can do anything, let's see what you can do, and we can challenge it. That's not to go too far with it, but that's even biblical. Like we should challenge ourselves with outdoing each other in good deeds. I love that idea.
Sounds like part of the skill tree. There you go. That's on the skill tree. How much have you given away this week?
I wouldn't want to put that on people. You don't want to restrict someone's advancement based on things that are like to give. It is a sacrifice. You don't want to hurt people in order for them to be able to get that next weapon or whatever. But to just have it be something that's acknowledged. Okay, so Gala did something like that with the people that returned the Walking Dead Vox boxes. They're all labeled the Samaritans now. What an unheard of act. Like people that were just handed thousands of dollars worth of stuff and they gave it back.
Well, let's be a little bit clear about this. I'm happy with giving Gala their props, and I really think what they did was good. But remember, they also threatened people. They said if you didn't give them back, we'll remember, with a long stare.
But there were lots of people that still didn't give them back, and they just came up with a new account name and went right back at it. So we could have all gotten away with it. And many of us just didn't. Many of us just wanted to do the right thing and give it back. And so that wasn't anything big. They didn't pay us for them or anything like that. But now all of a sudden they put this little whitelist thing that if you had done that, you could get into the troll Vox drop early and at a discount. So that's something special. And I could see us working something like that in, and for people that were demonstrating that they had a generous heart and they actually wanted to help people that had suffered some kind of like unfortunate circumstances. Now the other side of this is that like because so much of crypto is anonymous, like people could like lie about getting hacked, and then all of a sudden you're giving things to people that were scamming you. So that's another reason that we have to be careful with it. If it's personal giving and someone scams you, well, it's what is it? The fool me once, shame on you.
Yeah.
But if it's an entire institution, then all of a sudden we have to curate every last request we have for help, and it's just like you said, bureaucracy and red tape, and it just becomes not about the kindness anymore, and it's just a job.
Well, I'm going to start off this whole giving thing right away, and I'm going to get in the lead, just so you know that you're going to be behind. Because I have the Frank Miller custom NFT deal. I posted it in a couple of Discords. It came up because they were doing the Thune list, and I was just reading through it, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, you know what? I have my own Thune list. I need to get a hold of Gala so I can finish this Frank Miller NFT. And so my idea from that was, I've had some ideas of what I kind of wanted to do, but then ultimately I thought about taking it and having the community, the people that really are, like love Frank Miller because he's done some really cool shit, and have them come up with some of their own ideas, almost an amalgamation of this community together of the different ideas, take some of the best ones, put them together, put them out there for a vote, whichever one wins, that's what we're going to go with. And then taking that, fractionalizing that NFT and giving it to the first, 100, 200 participants in the DAO. I think it would be kind of cool. I think it'd be fun.
Fractionalizing is interesting. How would that work? You mean just make another NFT or maybe 100 other NFTs and then give those out and then burn the original? How does that actually work?
It's really easy. You just take it and you chop it up with like a knife or an axe into 100 different pieces, and then they just mail that piece off to everybody else. It's fractionalized now, so everybody has one. It's easy, right?
Got to get my digital axe.
The digital axe. There's a couple of I've talked with Andrew of a couple different ideas with it. I've also talked to, there's a few actual sites you can go through and fractionalize it. I think, does DAO do that as well? Can you do it through DAO? I can't remember, but there's a few places that you can do that. And I think the original gets burned and then it just gets pushed out into, multiples of the same one.
Wasn't Palliant going to do that? Remember Palliant?
Palliant, like the Palliant Vault?
Right.
I'm sure you remember Palliant.
I remember Palliant. He said Palliant. I was like, I was trying to see if that's what he was talking
about. It's my accent.
It's okay. Yeah, you're from the north-south area.
Palliant. Yes, Palliant.
Yes. No. They were. I don't know. Were they doing fractionalization? I know they were just doing the vault stuff.
They had this weird key shit going on where they sold you these fractional NFTs and you bought little keys, and I don't know whatever happened to that. I got interested for a while, but I lost track, and I thought they wanted to fractionalize Gala NFTs.
I'm sure that Yuga Labs is doing stuff with it. They some of the Bored Apes have been fractionalized, and they're traded on exchanges like High Bay C and High May C. They're you can actually you can buy and sell them on. I'm not sure which exchanges are hosting it, but
okay, that's a good point. So are you buying and selling these fractionalized NFTs on OpenSea, or are you doing it in an exchange as a coin? Because you could turn it into a coin.
The NFT, the fractionalized part into a coin.
That's what ApeCoin is, right?
Isn't it because they're 1155s that like you were talking about earlier, the not quite non-fungible, the semi-fungible tokens?
Fungible, completely.
They are fungible. You're right. But if it happens to have, it's a smart contract with a digital image assigned to it, but it stacks, then it's the same as if they were buying and selling a coin. So I wonder if that's the way they go about it. If you were to fractionalize the Frank Miller NFT, the original, you just probably make sure that they were ERC 1155s or the equivalent on whatever chain you decided to do it on, and so they'd be stackable and they could be exchangeable and tradable.
So fractional.art, they're doing that right now. I'm on their site checking it out. So they've got CryptoPunks and your mutants and a couple different things. I'm gonna have to dive into this a little bit more. I've just talked to Bitbender about it, and he just said interesting. So I don't know where he sits on everything else. Who knows? Maybe they don't want me to do that. We'll see what happens. But
they'd have to support that, I guess, wouldn't they?
Well, I mean, I could always just say, all right, that's cool. Well, I do want the community to figure it out. We figure out what the community wants. I get the NFT. Then I take that NFT and I can fractionalize it. Once I have the NFT, I can do that myself. So, if they didn't want me to, I'd really like to know why. So I didn't go down that route.
Well, the reason I said that they'd have to be on board is they'd have to support fractionalized NFTs. I mean, if you burned an NFT, it's gone, no matter what you issued in its
correct
place.
But again, once I fractionalize it on my end, they're not doing the fractionalization of the NFT.
As long as you don't burn it. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, if they support it, yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, I'm not even sure why they would need to support it.
They don't have to support it because the NFT, once it's mine in my possession, they don't have to do anything else after that. Now it's mine. I can go ahead and do it, right?
If you burn that NFT, it's gone. If you don't burn that NFT, then the fractions somebody's going to have to hold that thing in a wallet until the fractions get together to where it can be used.
Not so, because the fractionalization is really just a new minting. So you're saying, okay, there's only going to be 100 fractionalized pieces of this. All you're doing is setting up a new contract. So that's a new smart contract that it's based on the original. This is the NFT we're going to burn, and
Right.
turn into these 11 or 100
Right.
new NFTs.
Exactly.
Which
Right.
it's entirely
It's all
in your
you're
hands.
saying. There's just now 11 of them.
Well, there's one that would be that would have 11 parts, and that one could be used. Like we were talking about fractionalizing one of those Miranda's castles originally, the citadels, and so
Okay.
yeah, you can split it up into 10 parts, but unless you have 10 parts all together in one wallet, you're not going to have a citadel.
So yes, you can't in that sense there that's an NFT that has a use case that it's supposed to be. Which actually, I don't even think they're going to be NFTs. The Citadel itself, when it comes down to it, for what they're using it for. So fractionalizing that would be a So you'd have to
Purely
go
an investment product,
right? More like a tank. Like let's say a tank. You're not going to fractionalize a tank because now you can't utilize that same NFT that was usable in the game because now it's been destroyed and it's something completely different, right? Where the Frank Miller NFT is a one-of-one NFT that's in my wallet that is now mine completely, that has no interaction or use case with anything outside that I have to, if I got like some magic, internet.
Okay, that's different. Okay, that's different.
Kabbalah,
Yes.
right? Then it would make a difference. So
that's kind of interesting. That's almost like, and I'm trying to keep up with the concept. It's like you buying the Mona Lisa, literally chopping up the Mona Lisa. No, not even chopping it up. Making another painting, chopping that painting up, and saying, "This is the Mona Lisa now." I destroyed
burning the original one. Yeah, exactly.
Well, then, that's not really the Mona Lisa, but if you can get people to buy onto that concept, sure. Because
he's the owner of the one of one, he'd be able to make certified reproductions.
Oh, so he'd have some sort of license.
But it's his thing.
Well, we're trying to take the physical world into the digital world. So in all reality, it's what is this digital thing that can never be recreated, right?
So so a digital or an NFT in a very real sense is basically a notary seal. If you have an NFT from Frank Miller issued it. But if you then destroy it because you own it and then you issued it, you'd have to get people onto the idea that, well, Nate Harper is the guy that's allowed to issue this now. Well, who made you the issuer? Nobody. If Frank Miller did, if Frank Miller said it's okay for you to issue this kind of stuff, that's why I was saying licensing.
Yeah, so you're talking about like more of your IP, like what you do with this NFT,
commercial license or
commercial licensing, that kind of stuff. Correct. Yeah, definitely has to have. Because I know there's different things written in some of these different NFTs, like what you can do with them, what kind of, promotions can you do? Can you make and sell goods from like the likeness of it, like voxes? Yes. A lot of people talk about the voxes and doing that. So there's, definitely the IP and what that does say in there. That might have some issues going on with it. So.
Right. That's all I was thinking about from a legal perspective. And
right.
If he gave you some sort of right to do something like that, makes all the sense. But if you just do it, take it upon yourself and do it, then I'm sorry, you destroyed it. That's all. I like the idea, though.
Well, all that would do, let's say it went absolutely south and everybody was unhappy about Nate's decision to burn the original one of one and then issue a new one that had the same image that was based on that. It would just affect the value of the new ones. The people that had it would still have X number of, or one of X based on how many he decided to make.
Right.
And so it, but you're talking about a pretty subjective market with art in the first place. So
it's kind of reminding me of the synthetic market right now. Do you know about the synthetic crypto market?
Yeah, I've read about it. Not for a while. I haven't looked into it. What are they doing now?
I don't know. I think of the synthetic crypto market as fantasy football. It's like, hey, we're basing this on that over there, and it's pegged 1-to-1 with something else that we don't control, and now you're going to buy and sell this stuff, and I don't even know how people even sit with it, but it sounds similar. to what you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're talking about the synthetic overall, the synthetics of the crypto market, not synthetics, the actual cryptocurrency. Gotcha.
Well, no, there's currency, synthetic currencies out there. I can't think of any at the moment, but there are several.
Well, there's one that's actually called synthetics.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, synthetic crypto in general.
Yep. Gotcha. I'm following you.
Titan, are you still alive?
I am. I'm hanging in there. So I think this Frank Miller thing is like uber cool. And that would be fantastic for people to have that opportunity coming in to grab a piece of that. I do think, though, after listening to this, you'd have to look way deep into it to see if it wouldn't screw it up.
Yep. I don't want to screw anything up.
Otherwise, that would just be a derivative work, which it might be that all you need is derivative work rights, and then you're set.
Perhaps working with it, you could have Frank create it as that, since you have the choice of kind of how you want it made, right?
That would be an interesting.
There you go. Okay, have him make you
there.
a picture. Have him make you a picture, literally of comic book panels, like 50 comic book panels with one character, so they could literally be physically cut apart. That'd be hilarious.
That is kind of cool. I like that.
All right. So the next thing, I think we might have beaten this one just a little bit. So the last thing that I was hoping to talk about was something else something really that Faz Radio could do, not as much as a DAO, but the DAO could as well. Basically, keeping track of keeping track of gamers' stats and stuff like that. I know Players DAO has plans to implement and to work with a leaderboard system, and my thought is, boy, Faz Radio could keep track of these people and kind of follow their careers, so to speak. But the DAO could also. The DAO could definitely make players a star into a star.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, so they have these tournaments all over the place, all over the world, right? Having the DAO have people represented at these bigger tournaments and things like that, rocking out with the Players DAO t-shirt, just kicking everybody's ass in these games. You're going to have most likely the partnerships, hopefully, with the games as well. So that could lead to all kinds of different types of opportunities for not only the players to get sponsorships and bring Family Man's sense of community back to where maybe they could contribute some of that back to the DAO to bring other people up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, on that note, I'm done.
Well, the leaderboard, I think it's important because this is something I know I've talked about it over at Gala as well, is the lack thereof on that aspect. So I think this leaderboard, not only for individual games, but for lifetime achievement and everything else, is going to be huge, right? So all these games that we played in the past, we can't really go back and look at maybe these games disappeared, maybe we've moved on. How cool would it be to look back and go, oh man, like 7 years ago, I played the hell out of Spider Tanks and I was the shit, right? So
here's my trophy, my Players DAO trophy, which would apparently be points, but
I mean, you could too. Yeah, you could create NFTs through the DAO using bugs or using damn near anything to commemorate that. And if it's on the blockchain, it lasts forever. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at a lot of successful games, they have the achievement system within them. And that's something that so many people enjoy. It's just an added feature that it brings kind of direction, especially if it's something like a sandbox game where you can do just about anything. achievements give you a goal. You know, instead of just wandering around, kind of not sure what to do, it gives you a focus, something to orient on, and so a lot of times, like as you're pursuing these achievements, you find something that you wouldn't have found otherwise that has nothing to do with the achievements, but all of a sudden you find out that you enjoy doing that within the game. Now we're talking about building a community that spans the entire gaming industry, and
oh yeah,
and we can build an achievement system within that hey, if you play 9,999 games of spider tanks in a single month, then you get this crazy achievement. You know,
Well, and don't forget,
over 9,000. We can play the Dragon Ball card there.
And
Over 9,000.
don't forget, Players DAO would be having more than one game. What if I played some spider tanks, some of Miranda, some of this, some of that? I mean, there is so much stuff that I see. I see an entire industry that can build up around just the whole concept.
Yeah.
That leaderboard is so important for that very reason, because it creates internal competition, right? I'm at the top of the Spider Tanks leaderboard. I look over, I'm like, fuck, there's 4 other games over there. I want to be on the top of all of these motherfuckers, right?
And then you have other people that are better at that other game who are looking at you the same way.
Right. It creates all kinds of ways, and you could create tournaments around that. And I mean, it pushes people to do what it is that makes them feel good. It gives them something to strive for and something to reach for.
I really have to give a shout out to Rostakip here with what he's doing with NFT guilds. It's some great work, and I don't know if you guys have looked too closely at it, if you've discussed it before, but I would encourage you guys to check him out in NFT guilds as well. He's got some really great ideas.
He's doing some cool stuff. I really, really want him to just step outside of Gala too, because he's only doing Gala. Specifically because I've been sponsoring some tournaments with EVIO, and which has been great. And, you know, it's fun to support a fun game like that and see them be successful. But man, I tell you, the work comes in when I'm sending out rewards. That's I'm like, come on, guys. That would be great if I could, because he has in his tournament structure, you can build it into where the rewards are automatically sent out. So you fund it, and then boom, as soon as it's all said and done, it gets sent out automatically. And not just that, just a lot of the things he's building over there is pretty cool. I mean, he did the NFT lookup from the get-go with the Voxes, which was cool to start with.
That was
too.
a really useful tool. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fun stuff like that in the community, man. There's some really talented people out there building some fun, cool stuff that really, I think, is gonna, help out in the long run with a lot of different things.
Well, I'm really good at creating work for everybody else, right? So, if Timbo's listening, right, with this leaderboard thing, so. One of the things I noticed, and I noticed it really, really tightly in this last Spider Tanks AMA that was done, people were trying to figure out how to earn silk, right? So what if this leaderboard incorporated what that person did in order to get to that level of achievement, right? So you could click on that person with their leaderboard and realize that they've played, 7,219 matches, and they won with whatever tank is necessary. And it would also then maybe have people try and bring that back around to where they know what they want to target then for themselves as well.
Yeah, I was just reading some comments on the on YouTube from Obi Serious, so I was trying to read through his stuff. So I kind of lost what you were saying.
No worries. You have a play button. You can rewind and play it.
I was entirely listening, and the point is that it's really up to your creativity as far as how much you can include in a gamified player environment. Like as long as we have some people that are having fun with it, I mean, we could turn anything into a competition. You know, that's that's what humans do. Anything becomes a competition. I mean, have you ever seen caber tossing? They decided to just pick up a tree and throw it and see how far you could get it. You know, like that sounds like a great competition. Why not? Well, we can do that in a digital setting as well. There's no end to the possibilities, and the idea is that we would want to make it fun. Again, we're talking about engaging the community. So this is, I don't know, this is just a really interesting avenue for me because I love exploring these possibilities. I love making suggestions. You know, the best part for me, like looking back at World of Warcraft, they were so funny. You know, like and we can do that. We can bring in just whatever ideas we have, and then we can make them engaging for the people that are involved. And it really is. It's only limited by us and our own creativity.
Well, even having that, like a direct message system that takes you back through however the DAO sets up their communication, whether it's Discord or anything else, so that players can talk with each other from the leaderboard as well, or at least through it.
Nothing from anybody. No, I agree.
I was waiting for you guys. I had a change of direction, but I was going to wait until you guys were done.
Yeah, I agree with that. The leaderboard thing and the communication, the DM, all that kind of stuff is kind of a great way to keep the community together, and on the same page for sure.
So okay, let me jump back to the YouTube comments. OB Serious was making points about basically renting should be free from any restrictions, and anyone should be able to rent for a reasonable price. Crypto was invented to remove the middleman, not to introduce one. And he even said, their EIP 4907 apparently is designed to handle this very thing. This is my idea for rental. I don't really feel that a DAO should have to commit your stuff to a DAO and then they manage it. I feel like there's resources starting to happen that you could simply respond to a contract and then commit it, have full control over sending it to the DAO and getting it back. That the DAO really isn't custodying it. It's that the blockchain is, and the DAO is just allowing it. Points out a wallet that it might need to be in.
Well, one of the biggest hoops that the game developers have to jump through in regards to issuing NFTs that people can earn from is that they have to include a work step there. There has to be something that the owner does in order to earn, or else all of a sudden they end up in a situation as far as compliance in regards to issuing dividends or something like that. They don't want that. Isn't
negotiating the price of that a work step?
I don't know if it's enough according to the SEC. So there's a big like cloud over all of this of nobody knows for real, because we're all waiting on guidance. We're all waiting on some sort of help to because if you give us the steps, then we'll go through them. But right now they're not even doing that. They're just reserving the right to destroy your company if you do it wrong. And so nobody wants to run afoul of the SEC by straying too far in one direction. So there are a lot of game developers who will encourage people, like from a third party perspective, go ahead and build this out. Splinterlands is a great example of that. Splinterlands had a rental system for a really long time, but they didn't build it. It was built. I know Peak Monsters was one of them. I think there were multiple rental systems that you could take your cards and you could rent them to other people, and Peak Monsters would handle that separate from the actual game. And they had all the necessary APIs. They were able to, and it wasn't a transfer of ownership. It was that while you were renting it, you no longer had access to the utility, and the person you were renting it to had access to it. So all of that was worked in, so that you didn't have any kind of not the double spend, but the equivalent of that. It wasn't like you were getting money for something that you were also able to continue to use. So it was a pure rental system where you were loaning the utility at a cost, but Splinterlands as the game, they weren't bearing the burden of the distribution of those funds. So now I own cards, I can rent them, I get paid for those cards. Splinterlands issued the cards to me, but then their hands are clean because I am as the owner of those cards, they're mine, and then the rental system isn't them either. So that rental system has had to jump through its own hoops in order to be able to do that. That's what the DAO would do. The DAO would act as the
intermediary.
Yeah, and so not.
So it sounds like blockchain can't solve that problem then.
Sure, it can.
Yeah, I think it can. It just depends. I think there's room for both places, right? I agree 100%. Blockchain can solve that problem, and it will, and it has, in the fact that the code is there. But there's always going to be this aspect of people that need extra help in ways to be able to either maximize their earnings for their NFTs that they have, or if they are a player that wants to utilize certain assets, they may be in the DAO to be able to use. And yes, renting should be free 100%. And I think we're not charging anybody to, rent an NFT. That's what we want the DAO to be. We want that access for them 100% to be the ability to bring these blockchain games to players, and they don't even know they're on the blockchain, right? The EVIO model. So yeah, I think it's both worlds. We're arguing semantics. It's the fact that it's not going to solve every problem, but it definitely could work in certain areas.
Well, it goes back to the decentralized thing again, because you either have a DAO managing it or a third party. What if there was some kind of thing that you could put out there, like a node network, that could manage all those things and have a third party maybe independently code for it that would allow then that node network to do all the distribution and handle all of those transactions and call all those APIs? That is definitely, I think, something that would put not only a third party layer in there, but also take care of the work requirements and everything else to where it would be insulated both from the DAO and from the third party.
Right. I think that's a big, the insulation part is a big part that we have to make sure we get right with the DAO. So we don't expose people to, lawsuits or anything else that might come along because somebody interpreted it differently, right?
Yeah, that's a really big part of it. And if you think about how that works, you want to have more than one layer. Ideally, you have two layers. And the whole contention, I think, here is with OB Sirius saying EIP 4907 tokens are designed for that. I don't know very much about them. I've read just passively about those. It's something that takes that control away. And as you mentioned already, Nate, at some point, whether it's 5 years, 10 years down the road, you should be able to step back, walk away, and everything runs like butter. And developing those networks that do all of that free and clear not only insulates the DAO, but the players, and there could be contention between players for all you know. And you have to have that decentralized entity or third-party entity that can solve that problem.
Yeah, I agree.
I think one of the other distinctions to make here is that we're looking. I guess the conversation is kind of focused on the type of asset that you see in spider tanks, where it's just an item that's there that one person gets one tank and then they take it into the game and they play with it. Whereas that's the game that we have to work with right now. That's what we're headed towards. You look at EVI.io and you're talking about guns and skins and things like that. those are things that those are very simple. You know, it's just like a one person needs one item and then they go and play. Where the DAO is really going to be able to be a benefit to NFT owners down the line, it's going to be in these games where there are lands that require like tedious management, you know, like so as operators of someone else's assets, what the DAO would be able to represent is a base of players that have been all vetted. Like we know exactly who plays that game, who does it well, what they do within that game. And we're going to be able to match them up with those specific types of assets so that they can maximize what that NFT is accomplishing. You know, it's not as simple as one person owns a tank anymore. We're talking about this person owns a town of the prince and it has this many slots for buildings. And all these buildings that are sitting on it right now have this capacity to build these kinds of NFTs based on the resources that have been gathered. So those are huge asset management issues that not everybody's going to want to deal with. That it doesn't matter that they paid tons and tons of money for that item. They might have just gotten in over their heads thinking that they could just buy something and make money off it real easy. Many of us, we bought them knowing full well that it was going to be a lot, and we decided that we would find it one way or another to bear the burden. But the DAO is going to be able to be a solution for a lot of people there. That we're gonna match the right people together so that NFT actually gets the kind of attention that it needs and performs well within the game.
All right, I hear Nate's got to get going.
I got to roll, guys. It was good chatting with you, and we'll be on probably next week.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Sounds awesome.
Wait. The 24th. No.
Where are you going? Are you going camping again?
I'm going camping again.
27th.
I'm going the 24th. I think I'm coming back the 28th or the 27th. I don't know.
See how he always goes camping when it's your show here, talking about the DAO?
28th. I'll be back the 28th, which is Friday, which is just in time for Faz Radio. I
will be gone the week after that. So,
well, during your own show, your show,
I might be able to, I'm actually leaving Friday morning, so I might be able to fit it in. I'll let you know. I'll let you know middle of the week. So, but we'll see. And depending on if I get stuck in the snow, I may be gone the week after that. So I'm gonna go see if I can find some wolves and some elk.
I might get stuck in the snow myself. So you never know. All right. Well, it's been fun talking to you. I appreciate your unique input on this, and I definitely appreciate everything that you've done to spearhead or get this DAO started out.
We'll see what we can do. I appreciate everybody else's help too. This is great. We'll talk to y'all later.
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks, Nate.
So, you want to hang out for a little while, family man, or you talked out?
Oh, I could probably talk all night. I was gonna get in some games of spider tanks eventually.
Yeah, I got 2 in myself.
That's creative. My attention was on actually talking to you guys.
Titan, should we play a game of spider tanks tonight?
I can a little bit later. I've got something after the show here I got to take care of, but that should only take me half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, we got to start earning our silk. So remember, guys, Spider Tanks is ramping up, and now they're making it so you can earn silk by playing the game. So you better get out there and start earning.
Well, and the way things are going, family man, it'll be you and me on these casts next Thursday and Friday and probably the week after. So the two of us could probably fill a few hours easy with how we go.
Yeah, I would say if you guys want to keep talking, there's plenty to say.
Well, I'm telling you.
We should probably wrap up, though.
So the last thing I think we want to talk about would be the integrations that everybody brings here. Everybody's ideas, sometimes ideas are stupid, right? You throw out an idea and it's like complete ass idea, but it sparks somebody else maybe to think of something that brings it around. And I think the beauty on this so far in these conversations, both here on Tao of the DAO, as well as in Discord and over at the Players DAO Discord, these ideas is what's going to form the basis of how everything goes forward. And nobody should feel that they can't throw an idea out there. That's like huge to where this is going to go, I think.
They do say that whole thing that there is no such thing as a stupid question, and I know that there are some people that try to challenge that theory, but everything matters, man. Like you said, even if it's something ridiculous that comes out, it is going to spark something somewhere. So I think that's one of the places that we go wrong in communities a lot of times. Is we try to surround ourselves with like-minded people rather than just recognizing that there's a good reason that somebody thinks differently than you, and it may not be something to convince you to like go over to their side, but it definitely has it's definitely legitimate. You know, it's justified in its existence just because it exists. And like you said, like there's a lot creative that can come from any kind of statement that gets tossed out there. I'm so thankful for Gala Chat. I'm so thankful for being able to be in Platinum, to go there and hide in the relative like calm of it, but then I also go out into the other channels where maybe there's like incredible fire being thrown around, and maybe some people are saying some things that I really disagree with, but then if nothing else, it forces me to hone my argument. You know, like I understand what I believe even more, or I understand the topic that much better because I've taken the time to try to explain it to someone that doesn't see it my way.
Well, the goal here is to get more people involved with Players DAO, and Players DAO does have a Discord, which I think I'll put a link in here, because if you're still listening by this point, you might be interested enough to weigh in on some of these things, and I think it's really needed.
Cool. Very, very cool. I think, yeah, we've been going for an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
Adding it right now. Invite to Players DAO. Beep.
And I hope that a lot of people pop in there. And we talked about before, you know, you can't really have, you know, the inmates running the asylum. But at the same time, what turned in some other communities into a lot of contention and disenchantment, I think can be easily resolved in a format like this, because these players now, they have experience in decentralized-ish blockchain gaming, and they know what they like, they know what they don't like, they know where they got burned, and they know where they did really well. And that will help this second layer or second iteration of blockchain gaming evolve that much better.
All right. On that note, I'd like to wrap it up. So thank you, Family Man, for coming by.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, this was
absolutely
good to get a different perspective here.
Cool.
All right, now this is where I turn up the music here.
And Titan, give me a call if you want to do something next week.
We'll figure it out, man.
All right.